Tokyo, December 31st, 2000. The city is counting down. Fireworks are waiting. Families prepare soba noodles for luck. But on a quiet street in Setagaya Ward, where a modest two-story home backs onto a park, the lights glow over something else. Silence. And a trail of footprints that don't belong to the family who lived there. Footprints tracking blood from room to room. By morning, 4 lives are gone. A father, a mother, and 2 children murdered inside their own home. It becomes one of Japan's most baffling cases. So much evidence and still no name. Tonight, we'll walk through what we know about the Setagaya family murders, the final hours, the most important clues, the leading theories, and why a case with this much evidence remains unsolved more than 2 decades later. Stay with me. One detail near the end may change how you think about the killer's identity. If you're new, subscribe for more carefully researched, unsolved cases. And tell me at the end, which single clue feels most important, and why? The family and the house, the Miyazawas, lived in Kamisoshigaya, Setagaya Ward. Parents Mikio, 44, and Yasuko, 41, with children Nina, 8, and Rei, Horix. Mikio worked for a marketing firm. Yasuko taught. Their home sat on the edge of a park, part of an area slated for redevelopment. Only a small cluster of houses remained there at the time. A quiet corner, 1 fence away from open space. It was an ordinary family in an ordinary home, beside a park where skaters and kids played by day. The last normal day. Saturday, December 30. Evening returns like any winter night, shopping, calls, plans for New Year's Day. Then, sometime around late evening into just after midnight, someone enters the house. Investigators believe the killer may have come in from the parkside by removing the second-floor bathroom screen and climbing in, one of several viable entry points next to the green space. What followed happened fast, upstairs and down, violent and close. Within hours, all 4 members of the Miyazawa family were dead. Evidence would later suggest strangulation in one case and stabbings in the others, an attack that showed both frenzy and control. Wikipedia, the night inside the house. Here's where the Setagaya case becomes uniquely chilling. After the murders, the killer stayed, not minutes but hours. He used the family's computer, ate ice creams from their freezer, drank barley tea, moved through rooms, and even used the bathroom, leaving unflushed waste that later became crucial forensic evidence. Some reports suggest he rested on the sofa. Whether he truly slept is unclear. A later analysis showed the home computer connected to the internet around 1:18 a.m. that night. There may have been additional activity later that morning, though accounts differ on whether a family member accidentally jostled the mouse during the grim discovery. What is not disputed? Someone used the machine shortly after the killings. Wikipedia discovery, New Year's morning on. December 31st, family nearby couldn't reach the Miyazawas. When the house was entered, the scene shocked even seasoned officers. A ransacked interior. Clear bloody footprints and items the killer left behind, including clothing and accessories that would become some of the most specific investigative leads in modern Japanese policing. Police launched one of the largest investigations in the country's history. Over the years, nearly 250,000 investigators would touch this case, and yet it remains officially unsolved. What the investigation found that still matters today. The Tokyo Metropolitan Police publicly shared rare detail about items abandoned in the house. These are huge for your understanding. Sweatshirt. A very limited run, only 130 sold in Japan at the time, with just 10 in Tokyo, traced to specific shops. Jacket, a black Uniqlo, AirTech, large, scarf, hat, gloves, all documented by police. Hip bag. Strap length implied a 70 to 75 centimeter waist, a slim build. Shoes, Slazenger athletic shoes, 27.5 centimeter JP, made in South Korea, a size model combination that was not commonly sold in Japan. Knife and wrap. A Yanagiba sashimi knife type was used, with Drakkar Noir fragrance detected on a handkerchief that wrapped it. Blood type. Type A. The killer was injured during the attack. Tokyo Metropolitan Police Department separately. Reporting and case summaries indicate that one knife blade appears to have broken during the violence, with a second kitchen knife then used, one of several details that suggest both intensity and improvisation. Wikipedia Forensics and the DNA puzzle. From the bathroom fecal sample and blood traces, investigators extracted male DNA. Analyses over the years have suggested the killer may be of mixed ancestry, with an East Asian paternal line and a maternal line consistent with Southern Europe, Mediterranean region. Different outlets describe this cautiously, but the male line pointing to East Asian haplogroup O and the broader possibility of mixed heritage are recurring in coverage. Why include this? Because it shaped several theories about whether the killer was a local, someone with ties abroad, or a person who left Japan soon after. The house in the park, the Miyazawa home, was literally on the park's edge, with redevelopment underway and only a handful of homes remaining. Fewer neighbors, more blind spots, more approach routes. That geography matters. It may have given the killer quiet access from the parkside and multiple ways to leave. Tokyo Metropolitan Police Department. Leading theories, what they explain and what they don't. Note, these are theories, not conclusions. A random intruder from the park. Why people consider it. The parkside entry is plausible, and some ransacking looks like robbery. A stranger exploiting an emptier, redeveloping zone fits the environment. What pushes back? The killer lingered for hours, eating, browsing, using the bathroom, leaving extensive DNA and items behind. That behavior is unusual if the motive was simple theft and escape. A local dispute or someone the family knew. Why it's considered. The home's proximity to a skate area had reportedly led to friction in the neighborhood. Some coverage has floated tensions and a youthful suspect profile. Clothing, shoe size, and hip bag waist suggest a slimmer, possibly younger male. If the killer had some knowledge of the space or routines, it may explain his confidence in staying. What pushes back? Despite hundreds of very specific leads, right down to retail purchase trails, no one in local circles has been matched by DNA or prints. It's hard to imagine a known neighbor leaving this much trace and never being linked. A traveler, or someone with foreign ties. Why it's considered. The shoe, South Korean manufacture, Chiu's size, limited sale sweatshirt, and DNA hints have fueled talk of a suspect who wasn't rooted in Japan, possibly someone who left the country. What pushes back? Japan's authorities have made international inquiries and kept the case alive for decades. If the killer had a record elsewhere that matched the DNA, you might expect a hit by now. No match has surfaced publicly. ABC, the 8 clues that still matter for viewers. Hours in the house, the killer's comfort level, computer, food, bathroom, suggests unusual confidence. It's rare. ABC computer at 1:18 a.m. Digital activity after the murders tightens the timeline and proves the intruder remained inside. Later morning activity is disputed. Wikipedia sweatshirt distribution. Only 130 sold nationwide, 10 in Tokyo, traced to specific shops. That's a tiny pool. Tokyo Metropolitan Police Department, hip bag, waist, 70-75 cm, points to a slender build and helps profile clothing fit. Tokyo Metropolitan Police Department Slazenger shoe, 27.5 cm, KR manufacture, an import-linked size model that narrowed purchase paths. Tokyo Metropolitan Police Department, type of blood, injury. The killer likely cut himself during the attack, leaving mixed stains. Tokyo Metropolitan Police Department, knife sequence. A blade broke during the struggle. A second kitchen knife was used, indicative of force and adaptation under pressure. Wikipedia Park Edge Geography. Fewer occupied houses. More entry-exit routes, especially at night. Tokyo Metropolitan Police Department. This was not an abstract puzzle, it was a family. Birthdays, skates, bedtime. A neighborhood stopped in time. The house itself became a somber landmark, often preserved and guarded. Its presence a reminder that New Year's in Setagaya is a day of mourning for some. Even now, police revisit and reappeal for information. A 20 million yen reward remains posted. Why so much evidence? And no arrest? 3 realities. The evidence is specific, but not named. Unique clothing, yes. A tiny sales list, yes. Still no direct buyer linked by DNA Tokyo Metropolitan Police Department. The DNA has no database match. If the killer never entered a system that cross-checks with Japan's records, and if he left the country, hits can be elusive. The scene is both rich and noisy. So many items and movements create theories. But without that one connecting witness or forensic match, the path splinters. Respectful reconstruction for your edit. Map the house and park, a simple overhead showing the park fence, bathroom window line, and likely entry route. Emphasize possible, not certain. Evidence board, cards for sweatshirt, 130 total. Slazenger 27.5, hip bag waist 70-75, type A blood. Computer, 1:18 a.m., pin the timeline across these. Tone, no reenactment of violence, silhouettes only. Slow, respectful pacing during family segments. Where the case stands, the Setagaya investigation remains active. Detectives continue to appeal for information. Over the years, teams have tracked clothing sales, followed international leads, and re-examined forensic traces. The official police page keeps the case details public, including clothing photos, the park layout, and the reward. If you know anything, no matter how small, there are officers who will listen. Unsolved doesn't mean forgotten. End of the 20th century. One family's lights still on. The park still behind the fence. The Setagaya murders prove that even an overwhelming amount of evidence can lead to a dead end. But what happens when a case begins with almost no evidence at all? Our next story is the chilling opposite, the disappearance of Claudia Lawrence. There was no crime scene, no DNA, and no body. Just a woman who walked out of her life one morning and was never seen again. York, England, March 2009. A city of cobbled lanes and medieval walls, where mornings are quiet and early shifts begin before the sun. Inside a modest terraced house in Heworth, the scene looks ordinary. The bed is made. Dishes in the sink suggest breakfast. A toothbrush sits out to dry. Her handbag, containing her purse and passport, is still at home, but her work rucksack and mobile phone are gone, as if she set out for the early shift she never reached. Hours later, around midday, that phone will be deliberately switched off, and no one will ever hear from her again. Her name is Claudia Lawrence. She's 35, a chef at the University of York. She chats with her mom about Mother's Day, tells her she'll turn in early for the 6 a.m. start, and then she vanishes. No break-in reported. No confirmed crime scene. Just a short pre-dawn walk that, somewhere between her front door and the university, turns into an enduring mystery. By late April, police will say they suspect murder. But to this day, the truth remains out of reach. In the next 20 minutes, we'll follow the final hours we can verify, the evidence that still matters, and the 3 leading theories. We'll also look at the legal legacy her father fought for, Claudia's law, and the unanswered question at the heart of this case: who switched off her phone at 12:10 p.m. and why? Gov UKIF, you're new here, subscribe for more carefully researched unsolved cases. Drop a comment at the end. Which single detail stands out most to you? It helps keep these stories visible. Who was Claudia? Claudia Elizabeth Lawrence, born in 1974, grew up in North Yorkshire. Friends describe her as witty, sociable. the kind of person who remembered birthdays and showed up with a smile after long shifts. After training in catering, she took a chef's job at the University of York. Early starts, steady routine, a known route to work from her home on Heworth Road. She lived alone. She loved her parents, Peter and Joan, and remained close to them after their separation. Peter, calm, methodical, a solicitor by profession, would later become one of Britain's most recognizable advocates for families of the missing. He kept his daughter's case in the public eye, year after difficult year. Peter Lawrence died in 2021 without learning what happened to Claudia. The Guardian, the last verified day. Wednesday, 18th of March 2009 morning to afternoon, Claudia starts her shift before dawn at the university's Roger Kirk Center. She finishes around 2 p.m. CCTV records her leaving. Later, another camera and a neighbor place her near home that afternoon in Melrose Gate, a short walk from Heworth Road. Routine, unremarkable. Wikipedia evening from home, she speaks to both parents by phone. She tells her mom she'll get an early night. She's due up before 5 for the 6 a.m. start. Her tone is normal. No hint of concern. By later that evening, the last known text is sent and the final incoming text is received. After that, the line goes quiet. Wikipedia, Thursday. 19th of March, the morning. She disappears before dawn, approx 5 a.m. This is the window when Claudia would usually leave, on foot, to the university. She often wore ordinary clothes with her chef's whites in a rucksack. There is no confirmed CCTV of her on the route that morning, and there are no verified sightings that can place her beyond doubt. One camera on the route simply doesn't catch every angle. If she walked a parallel street, it could have missed her. Wikipedia, Yikritsir AM. She does not arrive for her shift. Co-workers assume she's called in sick. The day passes. Concern grows, but no alarm is raised publicly yet. 10 p.m. A critical digital clue. Claudia's phone is deliberately switched off. Network records show a proper shutdown, an explicit detachment, and that the phone had been connecting to a mast in the Heworth area that morning. Whoever had the phone chose that moment to end its signal. It is one of the most important data points in this case. Evening, Claudia fails to show for a planned drink with a friend. Calls go to voicemail. Friends assume there's a mix-up. By the end of the night, people are worried. Friday, 20th March. Alarm: Claudia misses a second shift. Now the alarm is real. Her father, Peter, goes to the house with a friend and uses his own key. Inside is what chills people. Normality. Bed made. Dishes, possibly breakfast, in the sink. Handbag with purse and passport inside. Missing her mobile phone. The work rucksack she used to carry chef's whites, and a pair of GHD hair straighteners that police later note were not found in the house. The missing items suggest she left for work as usual. North Yorkshire police are called. In those first days, the inquiry is a missing person case. There's no evidence of a break-in, and adults do sometimes leave voluntarily. But Claudia's patterns, her work ethic, her family contact, her plans for Mother's Day, do not fit that narrative. Within 5 weeks, police announce they are treating it as suspected murder. The Guardian, what the early investigation found and didn't. No forced entry. No confirmed struggle inside. No bank activity. No use of passport. Phone off at 12:10 p.m. in or near Heworth, not miles away. Work, rucksack, and phone missing. Handbag left, suggesting she set out for work. There were unconfirmed sightings. A cyclist said they saw a man and woman on Melrose Gate Bridge around 5:35 a.m. About 30 minutes later, another commuter described a couple near the University of York, possibly arguing. Were either of these Claudia? We don't know. The descriptions are tantalizing but not conclusive, and none led to a definitive identification. Police released CCTV clips of an unidentified man near Claudia's home in the early hours, a hooded figure moving with apparent purpose in Heworth. The individual was never publicly identified despite repeated appeals. The Guardian. The case went through major cold case reviews. In 2014, detectives said they found new fingerprints in the house using techniques not available in 2009. They also highlighted the missing hair straighteners and rucksack again. In Claudia's car, at a garage for servicing, they noted a cigarette butt with male DNA, which did not, at the time, link to a named individual. These lines of inquiry, while promising, did not produce a breakthrough. The Guardian police have periodically renewed searches. In 2021, for example, teams searched the Sand Hutton gravel pits, a lakes and woodland area east of York. The operation generated fresh public tips but no confirmed discovery of Claudia. The investigation remains active. The human cost, and a law in her name. While detectives sifted leads, Peter Lawrence transformed his grief into public service. He campaigned for families left in limbo when a loved one vanishes, unable to manage mortgages, protect assets, or make urgent decisions. His efforts helped deliver the Guardianship Missing Persons Act, widely known as Claudia's Law, which allows a court-appointed guardian to manage a missing person's affairs after 90 days. Many families have since benefited from that change. It is part of Claudia's legacy. Gov. UK Peter died in 2021. He never got the answer he sought. Claudia's mother, Joan, continues to hope, as do friends and a community that has carried this story for more than a decade. The Guardian, the three leading theories, and what supports or challenges each. Important: these are theories, not conclusions. A stranger attack on the route to work, why people consider it. Claudia walked in the pre-dawn darkness, and predatory crimes sometimes exploit low visibility and quiet streets. If a stranger intercepted her shortly after leaving home, it could explain the absence of a crime scene in the house. What pushes back? Her route wasn't a secluded forest track. It was an urban area with houses, early commuters, and potential witnesses. There were no confirmed reports of screams or a struggle at a specific place. Stranger abductions do occur, but they're less common than harm by someone known to the victim. Key questions. Could a stranger have coerced her without drawing attention? If so, where did they take her before 12:10 p.m. when the phone was switched off? 2. Someone she knew, most discussed by investigators and analysts. Why it's considered. Statistically, victims are often harmed by someone they know. Claudia was social and independent. Media coverage has referenced complicated aspects of her personal life. Police statements over the years have suggested potential silence or withheld information within social circles, implying that answers might lie closer to home. What supports it? The phone shutdown at 12:10 p.m. suggests intentional control, not a phone running out of battery at night, but a daytime decision to end its signal. The house scene points to a normal morning departure, consistent with someone she trusted offering a lift, or arranging to meet, without arousing suspicion. Unidentified individuals near her home in the early hours were never traced, despite the publicity. While not proof, it leaves open the possibility that someone in the vicinity knew her movements. The Guardian, Waiswara, challenges. No body. No definitive forensic link publicly disclosed that identifies a perpetrator. Several arrests over the years did not result in charges. The evidential threshold wasn't met. Key questions. Who had the opportunity and knowledge of her routine? Who had the means to control or dispose of a phone at lunchtime near Heworth? 3. Voluntary disappearance. Why it's discussed. Investigations often begin with the possibility that adults can choose to leave, and some people do start fresh lives. What argues against it here? Claudia left her handbag with purse and passport. She had steady work, was close to her family, and had plans days ahead. There's no financial trail, no travel records, and no contact in the years since. It's not impossible, but it's inconsistent with her known habits and the evidence police have shared. Wikipedia, the clues that still matter. The phone's midday silence. Phones don't usually just die neatly at 12:10 p.m. The network recorded a proper power off, not a lost signal. Whoever had that handset made a decision in the middle of the day, after Claudia had already failed to show for work. If that person wasn't Claudia, they carried knowledge and, perhaps, guilt. Items left versus items missing: handbag at home, rucksack and phone missing, hair straighteners unaccounted for. The split is telling. Items left suggest she didn't plan a trip. Items missing suggest a routine morning start. If a perpetrator staged the scene, they did so with attention to that everyday pattern. The Guardian. The unidentified man near her home. Multiple appeals have shown a hooded male near Heworth in relevant time windows. He was never identified publicly. After all the coverage, that silence is striking. Was he a passerby who never came forward? Or someone with a reason to keep quiet? The Guardian. The reported early morning couple. 2 separate reported sightings. One on Melrose Gate Bridge around 5:35 a.m., another near the university roughly 30 minutes later, hint at a possible interaction on her route. Neither was confirmed as Claudia. If those witnesses truly saw the same man and woman, identifying them could still be key. Forensic threads that never tied newer fingerprint work in 2014 and the unknown male DNA on a cigarette in her car offered hope. But neither produced an arrest that stuck. Those results remain part of the case file waiting to match a name or a confession. The Guardian. These are tasteful, non-sensational suggestions for your video edit. No actors' faces. No accusatory reenactments. Map animation. A minimal dotted line from Heworth Road to the University of York with timestamps: 5 a.m., departure window, 6 a.m., no show, 12:10 p.m., phone off, evidence board, graphic, 4 index cards, handbag at home, work bag missing, phone off at 12:10, unidentified man, CCTV. Pin red thread between work bag and phone to pose the central question. Did she leave willingly? CCTV silhouette. A subtle outline with a blurred hooded figure when mentioning the man near her home. House interior. Stills. Empty hallway. Toothbrush on drainer, made bed, morning light, paired with a soft ambient track. Community sequence. Posters. Search teams. Candles at a vigil. Lower the music. Keep it human and quiet. Legal legacy card. Claudia's Law, 2019. Guardianship, missing persons. Act, 90 days. Add 1 sentence. Peter Lawrence advocated for this reform. Gov. Duad, UK. This remains one of North Yorkshire Police's largest and most complex investigations. Major reviews, public appeals, and targeted searches have not resolved that crucial first few hours between a normal evening at home and a missing person report 48 hours later. The case is active. New leads are still assessed. In 2021, police searched Sand Hutton. They thanked the public for fresh information, but no definitive discovery followed. Why didn't anyone hear anything? It's a question every viewer has. How can someone vanish on a short urban walk? A few realities. Noise and timing. Pre-dawn streets are quiet. Cars can pass. Brief confrontations can leave few traces. Routes and blind spots. A single CCTV camera on a route won't see every angle. A 1-block detour matters. Wikipedia trust. If she met someone she knew, there may have been no reason to resist, especially if a lift was offered. None of this diminishes the shock. It situates it. Tiny decisions. Leave 2 minutes earlier, take the parallel street, accept a ride, can define outcomes. Joan Lawrence. Claudia's mom has kept her daughter's name in the news, marking anniversaries appealing to anyone holding back even a sliver of truth. Friends in York still remember Claudia's smile and dry humor. Staff at the university remember a reliable colleague who simply didn't arrive one morning. Peter Lawrence's campaigning means other families now have a legal route through the bureaucracy that once trapped him. It's a piece of progress that carries Claudia's name. What would solve this? A witness deciding to speak. even if they think their detail is small or old. A forensic match, fingerprint or DNA, linking back to previously unidentified traces. A confession. Time changes people. Guilt gets heavier with age. Recovered items, especially the rucksack or phone, that could still yield traces or location. Memories. Police have said before that silence within social circles or the wider community has been a barrier. If someone knows why that phone was turned off at 12:10 p.m., they hold a key. The Times, unsolved doesn't mean forgotten. In Claudia's story, ordinary details do the haunting. A made bed, a routine text to mom, a rucksack that should have made it to a staff room peg but didn't. A path walked countless times by a chef who liked an early night and a plan for the weekend. York is a city layered with history, but this is a modern ghost story, one whose ending is still unwritten. Someone, somewhere, can write it, with a memory, a regret, or the courage to change a line of testimony given long ago. Unsolved doesn't mean forgotten. It means unfinished. The mystery of Claudia Lawrence is defined by its silence, a life that vanished without a sound. But our next case is a chilling opposite. A disappearance that happened in real time, a nightmare played out over a frantic 47-minute phone call. This is the story of Brandon Swanson, the 19-year-old who told his parents, "Okay, hold on, I'll flash my lights," and was never seen again. Minnesota, May 14, 2008. A flat, windswept night. A small sedan sits nose down in a shallow ditch off a gravel road. No damage, doors open. Keys missing. Somewhere out in the dark, a 19-year-old is walking. Phone pressed to his ear. "Don't worry," he tells his dad. "I'll flash my lights so you can find me." For 47 minutes, they stay connected. Turns, fences, gravel underfoot, the distant sound of water. Then, a sharp intake, one short phrase, "Oh, shh," and silence. That was the last moment anyone heard from Brandon Victor Swanson. He has never been found. Tonight, we'll retrace Brandon's final known steps, the digital trail that put him miles from where he believed he was, the dog tracks that led searchers to a river and beyond, and why this case changed Minnesota law forever. Quick welcome. 5 seconds. If you're new here, subscribe for more carefully researched unsolved cases. At the end, tell me, which single clue matters most and why? Who is Brandon? Brandon Victor Swanson was born in 1989 and grew up in Marshall, Minnesota. Friends and family described him as smart, easygoing, and motivated. He just finished his first year studying wind energy at Minnesota West Community and Technical College, Canby campus. On the night he vanished, he'd been celebrating the semester's end with classmates before starting the familiar drive home. Wikipedia timeline. May 13th to the 14th. 2008, shortly after midnight, Brandon leaves the Canby area to drive home to Marshall. He calls friends along the way, nothing concerning in his tone. Wikipedia 1:15 a.m. His car becomes stuck in a ditch off a rural road. Brandon tries to free it and cannot. No injuries. Wikipedia 1:54 a.m. He calls his parents, Brian and Annette, asking for help. He believes he's near Lind, a town just southwest of Marshall. They head out and all remain on the phone trying to locate each other. Wikipedia 2:30 a.m. They try meeting by flashing headlights, honking, and describing landmarks. Nothing lines up. Brandon is sure he can see the lights of Lind, but that's wrong. Later, tower data will show he's actually 25 miles away, near Porter, Taunton to the northwest. Wikipedia 8:30 a.m. Frustrated but calm. Brandon tells his father he'll walk toward town and asks him to meet at a known spot, a parking lot in Lind. They stay on the phone as Brandon walks. Gravel roads, fences, a field approach, and the sound of water nearby. Wikipedia 2:55 a.m. Mid-sentence. Brandon suddenly says, "Oh, shh," and the line goes quiet. No answer on callbacks. He is never heard from again. Wikipedia, the first clues. Morning, when Brandon doesn't turn up, his parents contact law enforcement. Initially, there's hesitation. He's a legal adult. But as details emerge, the search intensifies. Cell records place him miles from Lind, and his car is located near Taunton. Stuck, undamaged, doors open, keys missing. No signs of a struggle. The landscape. This is open farm country. Section roads, minimum maintenance tracks, field approaches, and waterways. Orientation can fail fast at night, especially if you think you're south of Marshall, Lind, when you're actually far northwest. The search what followed became one of the most extensive rural searches in Minnesota. Ground teams, deputies, firefighters, volunteers, ATVs, horses, air, helicopter and fixed-wing flyovers, K-9 teams, bloodhounds from South Dakota track a scent 0.3 miles west-northwest from the car, past an abandoned farm, and along the Yellow Medicine River to a point where the trail appears to enter the stream. In later passes, dogs also indicated beyond the bank, following scent north along the opposite side toward a gravel road and the county line. The river was dragged and searched repeatedly. Gates were installed. Depths shifted with spring flows. No remains, no clothing, no phone were recovered. Over subsequent seasons, after harvests, during spring thaws, teams researched fields and waterways, pushing the grid outward toward Mud Creek, another Yellow Medicine tributary. Still nothing definitive. Why this matters. The dog trails and the moment often anchor theories. A sudden slip near water or a fall on uneven ground. But the continuation of scent on the far bank suggests at least the possibility that Brandon came out of the water and kept moving. The evidence points both ways. The 5 clues that still matter. The tower data phone records place Brandon near Porter, Taunton, not Lind. This explains why he and his parents couldn't see each other's lights. They were in different regions entirely. It also anchors maps for reenactment and search planning. Wikipedia 2. The car scene car in a shallow ditch, undamaged, doors open, keys missing. Nothing suggests a crash injury or immediate foul play. It looks like a simple stick and a decision to walk. The call length and tone 47 minutes on the phone. Frustration but no fear of another person. He describes fences, field approaches, gravel, and nearby water, details consistent with the mapped K-9 path. The K-9 paths, dogs track from the car to the Yellow Medicine River. Some indications into the water, and later indications suggest a continuation beyond the river on the opposite bank. This is the case's major tension point. The landscape and weather night temps dipped into the 40s degrees, single digits Deg C. If Brandon got wet, even briefly, hypothermia risk rose fast. In open farmland with drainage sloughs and creeks, a soaked, disoriented walker can miss a town by a mile, and morning can arrive too late. Leading theories, what they explain and what they don't. Note, these are theories, not conclusions. Accidental drowning in the Yellow Medicine River, why it fits. The exclamation on the call, K-9 indication to the water, and his mention of hearing water support this. Spring flow can carry and conceal remains. Rivers change across seasons. Wikipedia, what pushes back. Later, K-9 indications beyond the bank hint he may have exited the river and continued walking. Extensive searches over years, dragging, gates, excavations, found no remains. Hypothermia, exposure. After leaving the river or without entering it. Why it fits. If he fell briefly in or near the water and got soaked, he could have staggered on and succumbed off-river. Agricultural land is vast, with drainage ditches, culverts, and low areas where remains can be missed, especially with planting and harvest cycles. K-9 trails continuing north support overlandtravel.marshallindependent.com, what pushes back. Years of grid searches, Seasonal researches and even excavator-assisted siftings in scent-indicated areas have found nothing. It's possible, but the absence is stubborn. Grand Forks heraldry. Foul play encounter. Why it's mentioned, foul play is rarely ruled out in adult disappearances. A remote road, a lone walker near 3 a.m. It can happen. What pushes back? Brandon's demeanor on the phone showed no fear of another person. There's no sign of struggle at the car, and the K9 path reads like a solo overland walk. There's no public evidence for an assailant. Wikipedia. How this case changed the law. After their son vanished, Brian and Annette Swanson pressed lawmakers for reform. In 2009, Minnesota enacted Brandon's Law, requiring law enforcement to accept and promptly investigate missing adult reports. No waiting period. No, they're allowed to be missing assumptions. Agencies must assess endangerment, notify nearby jurisdictions, and clarify lead agency responsibilities. It's now codified in Minnesota statute on Unsolved doesn't mean forgotten in the end. This story is a line of fence posts in the dark, a gravel crunch underfoot, and a son on the phone telling his dad he'll meet him by the lights. Unsolved doesn't mean forgotten. It means a map still open on a kitchen table. It means a law that now protects other families when ours matter most. If you know anything about the disappearance of Brandon Swanson, even a detail that seems small or old, contact law enforcement.